There's a photograph of John D. Rockefeller in his 80s, standing in a garden handing out dimes to children. His smile is gentle, his hands are steady, he looks like a saint. But here's what the photograph doesn't show. By the time he learned to give away money, he had already forgotten how to feel it. He had spent 50 years teaching himself not to need people, not to trust them, not to let them in. And by the end, when he had everything, he was surrounded by no one who truly knew him. The dimes were real, the warmth was not. He was born in 1839 to a father who was a con man and a mother who was a Baptist. His father sold fake cancer cures and disappeared for months at a time, leaving the family on the edge of poverty. His mother held it together with prayer and silence. Young John learned two things early: that money was the only security in a world that could betray you at any moment, and that emotion was a liability. He kept a ledger as a boy. Every penny he earned, every cent he spent. He didn't do this because he loved numbers. He did it because control was the only thing that made him feel safe. When other children played, he calculated. When they dreamed, he planned. He wasn't cold, he was terrified. At 16, he got a job as an assistant bookkeeper. He was good at it, obsessively good, but it wasn't enough. He saw men around him making real money, building companies, taking risks. He saved everything. At 20, he started a commodities business with a partner. When the Civil War came, he didn't enlist, he paid someone to go in his place, which was legal, and stayed behind to sell provisions to the Union Army. He made his first fortune while other men died. He never spoke about this publicly, not because he was ashamed, but because he had already learned that power doesn't explain itself. Then he found oil, or more accurately, oil found him. In the 1860s, crude oil was chaos. Wildcatters drilled everywhere. Prices swung wildly. Fortunes were made and lost in weeks. Rockefeller saw waste. He saw inefficiency. He saw opportunity. But not where everyone else was looking. He didn't want to drill for oil. He wanted to refine it, control the bottleneck. So he built a refinery in Cleveland, and he ran it with a level of precision that bordered on fanaticism. Every drop accounted for, every cost trimmed, every competitor studied. He didn't work harder than other men. He worked colder. In 1870, he founded Standard Oil, and this is where the story most people know begins. But they get it wrong. They think he won because he was ruthless. He was, but that's not why he won. He won because he understood something others didn't, that the world rewards those who remove uncertainty. He negotiated secret deals with railroads to ship his oil cheaper than anyone else. He undercut competitors until they had no choice but to sell to him or go bankrupt. He bought them out, folded them in, and expanded. It wasn't personal, it was systematic. By 1880, Standard Oil controlled 90% of America's oil refining. He had built the first true monopoly in American history, and he had done it by treating competition not as a game, but as a problem to be solved. But here's what happened inside him during those years. He stopped sleeping well. He developed digestive problems that would plague him for the rest of his life. His hair began to fall out, not from age, from stress. By his 50s, he was completely bald, his eyebrows gone, his body rejecting itself. His doctor told him to slow down. He couldn't, because slowing down meant losing control, and losing control meant returning to the terror of his childhood, when his father could vanish and leave them with nothing. So he kept going. He attended Baptist church every Sunday, taught Sunday school, tithed faithfully. He believed he was doing God's work. He genuinely believed that consolidating the oil industry was a moral act, that efficiency was a form of virtue. He never saw the contradiction, or if he did, he buried it. The world saw it, though. Journalists called him a robber baron. Ida Tarbell, whose father had been ruined by Standard Oil, wrote a series of articles exposing his methods. The government came for him. Antitrust investigations, lawsuits, public hearings. In 1911, the Supreme Court ordered Standard Oil broken into 34 separate companies. He lost, except he didn't, because he still owned shares in all of them, and when they were split apart, their combined value soared. The breakup made him the richest man in the world. He had won by losing. But here's what he had lost by winning. His son, John D. Rockefeller Jr., was a quiet, anxious boy who could never live up to his father's expectations. He didn't know how to talk to him, didn't know how to be with him without teaching him, correcting him, shaping him into something useful. His daughter, Edith, died young. His wife, Laura, became distant, retreating into her own world. He had built an empire, but his home was silent. He ate alone most nights. He walked his estate alone. He had employees, but no friends, advisors, but no confidants. He had spent his entire life trying to eliminate vulnerability, and he had succeeded. He was invulnerable and completely isolated. In his later years, he gave away more than $500 million. He funded universities, medical research, public health campaigns. He helped eradicate hookworm in the South. He built the University of Chicago. His philanthropy shaped the modern world. And people ask, was this animation? Was this guilt? He said it wasn't. He said it was simply the logical extension of his principles, that capital should be deployed efficiently, whether in business or charity. And maybe he believed that. But there's another possibility. Maybe he gave it all away because he had finally realized that accumulation had not made him safe, that no amount of money could protect him from the things that actually threatened him: loneliness, irrelevance, the terror of being forgotten. Maybe the dimes he handed to children were the closest he could come to connection, a transaction disguised as warmth. He lived to 97, longer than almost anyone of his generation, long enough to see his name on buildings, his fortune secure, his legacy cemented, long enough to become a symbol. But symbols don't feel anything, and by the end, that's what he had become. A man who had mastered the external world so completely that he had lost access to his internal one. He died in 1937 in his sleep in a mansion in Florida, surrounded by nurses and staff, not family, not friends, the people who were paid to be there. Here's the question that doesn't have an answer. What did he feel in those final years, when there was nothing left to build, nothing left to control, nothing left to fear, except the one thing he couldn't negotiate with? Did he think it was worth it? Did he ever look back at the boy with the ledger, the boy who just wanted to feel safe, and realize that safety was the one thing his empire could never buy? Or did he believe until the very end that he had done it right, that the numbers proved it, that the legacy justified the cost? We remember him as the richest man in history. But wealth is what you accumulate. Richness is what you feel. And the man who had everything died alone, counting nothing.